Yo, Blackers don't know, no. It's your boy Faray. Tafari, not Tafari for the people in the back. Welcome to Come True, the podcast. Thank you for coming through and expect to have a good time, man.
Hey, listen, I think this is probably like the highlight of every week for me. To be able to come on the pod and talk to my boys and spread some positive word song, I look forward to every week. If y'all didn't realize already, y'all know who it is. It's your boy, the anointed, the luxurious. It's your boy, Mr. Deshaun Webb. Thank you for joining another episode.
Hey, me, I like the highlight of my life is listening to this guy hype up himself. Self love is very important, and that's one of the things we promote here at the pod. But I'll keep it simple because we got other great guests. So I don't know his brand on the pod.
Yes, sir. And then y'all see we get three guests on the pod. I'll start it off with the two youngins who they call me Unc. I've embraced the name. They consider me old, which is crazy. I'm 29, so they call me Unc. They're my co-workers. They work with me in the engineering department for Viper. So start with Mo.
Yeah, my son. Good evening. Got to follow in web footsteps, with the energy, the self-love. They call himself luxurious, the anointed. So I gotta follow suit. He's the prototype, the man, the myth, the legend. I ain't slow. By the go as Mo. So good, good
Hey,
evening.
hey, yeah. And then we get Chris. They call him our long-term intern because he seemed like he's not going anywhere. So, Chris.
Well, just keep it simple. My name is Chris. I don't work with Uncle and Neff. And yeah, that's it. Done.
And I know we got a popular face in this pod today.
A legend.
People call him my twin.
Where?
Come on now. Y'all can see the resemblance. We got my father, Mr. Positive T.A. Nelson, on this pod. So let's go.
Big pad.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here to join these young men on the Come True podcast. I look forward to the discussion. I hope you open for real discussion because that's all I know. Positive is all.
Hey, I come true. It's all about keeping it true, keeping it real, keeping it raw. So, hey, let's get to it. So,
Let's get in there.
this pod, overall theme of this pod is the state of the youth. And I consider youth to be, I guess, anywhere from those being born to, I'd say, up to 35. But certain different topics that we speak on will kind of target the younger demographic, maybe like 25 and under, and then even just the high school and below. So, to begin with, as a community and even with the government itself, it feels as though we have lost focus in prioritizing the development of our youth. At least that's how it feels and how it's felt for some time. And there are some flickers. You can see some flickers of light, especially in sports and different things going on now that's starting to pick back up. But how
Facts.
y'all feel about that? The lack of prioritization. It feels like it's just not there.
That's a heavy discussion. I can say this to start the discussion. The children ain't being children anymore also. The children are rushing to be adults. And
That's
that's
a
part of
good
the
point.
challenge, and we don't look at it from that angle. But they want to be adults now, and so they're taking on responsibility of adulthood, and they're burning themselves out. Many of them are crashing in the mind. So that's besides the lack of the certain deficiencies in government. That's besides neglect parenthood. Just the children themselves, today's generation, want to experience it all right now. They don't want to wait
Hmm.
for anything. So thus,
Good
they are
point.
taking on the burden of adulthood by doing adult things. That's just the
I
start.
ain't gonna lie. I glad to hear that because me ain't gonna lie to you, I have never thought about that perspective. Honest to God.
Honestly, yeah. See,
Yeah. To be completely honest, I have not thought about that perspective, and I completely agree with you. Even just looking at my little siblings and the things that they're getting into, I completely agree. Like, is not the same, and I don't want to say we blame because is that necessarily a bad thing in certain circumstances? Yes, I think that the fact that more questions are being asked from the youth in terms of like talking about the youth now talking about learning about taxes and these kind of different things within the school systems. But I completely agree with you. There are certain things that they don't really necessarily need to be involved in as from the age group that they kind of gain themselves involved in. That's not necessarily conducive to even their learning environment. We could say social media, whatever the case may be, is kind of a catalyst for that. But I completely agree.
But I do agree that that is what we're currently dealing with. But where does that even come from? Like with them trying to live fast and do a lot of things for that what older people would be doing. Because I ask that because the access to all this social media, all these things, the parents are still in control of that.
Nope. Parents ain't in control of that. Parents
I
ain't
It
in
mean,
is
you
control
actually
of
don't,
social
you
media.
you 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 don't have to give your child any type of access to a phone, to a laptop, anything. Sure, when they go out in the community, they have other people that have these phones and these things. But in your
Look,
household,
we
I do feel that you could have control over that
no
to a
no no.
certain
So
degree.
so here's a prime
You don't
example.
think so?
Here's a prime example. So when we were young, okay, I'll be 57 next month. When we were young and our parents tell us this old muck story about the stork bring the baby, you know, we couldn't go on social media. We couldn't tell our Siri to tell us the truth where babies come from. They don't even tell where babies come from. They'll show you a vagina, a womb, and all those kind of things. You see what I'm- So you have too much information. It's like you're being exposed early. So that is one of the things that sort of, as young children, our parents used to try to hold back. Is the time to tell you about the birds and the bees, and is a time to tell you about. And the truth is, when young people know these things, they get curious about it. It's natural to be curious, but now that you're exposed to it, the more things you're exposed to, the more things you're curious about. You want to try it. You see it on TikTok. You see it on Facebook. It's like that looks good. Even copycat crimes, even these whole suicidal type of things. They trying to tap each other on this virtual world when the truth is they have to live a real life outside here. So I think to save the youth, you gotta tell them first of all they gotta accept responsibilities. The world don't owe them nothing. This thing where they feel like and this talk like I was a senator for 14 years, so I heard it a lot. Why are you doing for the children? Why are you doing nothing for the children? And government has its responsibility to ensure safety for them growing up, a good education, and all these things. But at the end of the day, it's about responsibility because if you have a whole bunch of basketball courts and recreational parks, but the children don't want to play. What good is that? If you have a whole bunch of programs and the only people who go into programs are parents and children who are already involved and, responsible
Yeah,
parents, be responsible to
not the
put the
target
children in
market.
program. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Most of the time, the
So
people
I
who need
have
to
a
go to,
question about that.
most of the time, the people that need to go to the program don't come. Most of the time, the parenting is lacking, so that nobody to direct them. Right.
So you feel as though currently, specifically in the Virgin Islands, that there is programs, an abundance of programs that's geared towards developing a youth after school programs. Because back in the days, personally, I feel like those things was in abundance. Those things had a lot more,
Okay.
and
So,
and it was actually available.
right.
I
So,
mean,
Well,
and because it's available, children get and express the interest, and sometimes they force into it. They grow the interest from being forced into it, but at least that resource is there. Now it seems like it's a lot less.
okay, I agree. I agree with you there. They have diminished some. They have diminished because as government cuts, they cut back on some of these programs. So I would agree with you there. But they are sufficient. There are programs. There are programs. I won't say they're not There are quite a few programs that are underutilized. And again, who go to these programs is student that's already an honor student. You know,
that's
they
that's a good point.
that's
No,
the
That's a
thing I
good
think
Chris.
point.
Oh
right
well,
what he was
right.
trying to get at is
That's a good point.
we had these programs for when we were growing up and we ain't that far in order to call you unks. I ain't ready to accept that from them guys. But when we were growing up, you know, it ain't had like positive said like we grew up in that transitional era. Like we grew up with technology more developing, so we still had that reason to show up to this after school program. Okay, well, like a reason to hang out and socialize. We still got stuff done, but as time
That's a good
progressed
point.
and you get more access to certain things, like especially technology, people didn't need to go and seek them. So programs, these funds, the dry up. You check and when the funds drop and you lose the funds, it's kind of hard to get it back. And
Mm.
then with the same thing with technology, people ain't spreading informative things. It's easier to go on the internet and to sell it, or nothing is there for the kids. But the other day I see an after school program promoting. It had like 2 shares. Bosses, some melee, we got like 20 something shares. So go back to what we were talking about in the last part. Some of the things are there, you gotta show up. So it's like if you don't even get 5 people to show up, somebody is there looking at this and saying, okay, you requested these funds, only 2 people showed up. They're cutting the funding, and then when you have to apply for this again, you now have to say why'd you lose it, and you lost it because nobody showed up. Versus to a basketball league, everybody think they're gonna make it, so everybody gonna show up so to something recreational. So there are things. It's not
Okay.
getting the right attention.
Okay.
That is a fair point.
Like,
And if well, no, you go daddy, and then
well,
I'll let the younger folks
yeah, because you
Yeah.
chat.
went silent and I wanted to talk because it sounds like what Brian is saying, and I agree, is that the young people are distracted. They're distracted by some of the same technology. Adults too. I mean, look at the workplace. At a workplace, man, people working and they're doing this and then they're doing this. They're doing this and then they're doing this. Some jobs have made it so that when they're having meetings, even for adults, you can't bring your laptop, you can't bring your cell phone into meetings because you have this thing in your hand and you're trying to do 101 thing and you feel like you're 100% present. Even sometimes you to a concert or an event is happening and you're not 100% there because you're filming. You're so
Facts.
busy showing what you're supposed to be getting. You showing to somebody else before you even self get it. You see what I mean? You more focusing on the camera and stuff. So you missing that now. You missing that moment. You follow
Hmm.
me? And that's what's happening to today's youth. They're missing their youth. They're missing their moment, and then they're growing up, and then they're trying to go through their curiosity days as grown men, and it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You get an excuse, you get a
Good
blind
point.
when you're young to make certain mistakes. But when you're trying to do like Michael Jackson paid for that. Michael Jackson is a prime example. Michael Jackson's childhood was robbed. His father had him so strict on that grind that he wasn't able to be a child. So now he is with multi-millionaires and he created a playland and he just want to play like little children and hang
Now he
around with
gotta
the
figure it
children.
out.
Not necessarily that he's perverse, but he's trying to live that inner child. And if you don't let a child be able to grow up living their inner child, when they're adults, that become the weirdos. That become the ones who are trying things that they should have tried while they were children. I'll shut up.
Really
Hey,
from the
but
good
hey,
seat.
being a
Hey,
man, but hey, that's why I
hey,
like having
you
different
bring in
generations because that's
some
bars.
strong perspectives for
Yeah,
real,
that's good
man.
perspective. Yeah, to be
Really from the
honest.
nephew them, man.
Hey, yes, Chris. You let's start with you, Chris. Because you just come out, you fresh out of high school. You're
Oh
a
God.
actual youngin. 11 years since we've been in high school. Jesus Christ. But
Ah,
so how you feel like while you was in school? Do you feel like you had access to a lot of after school programs? Anything like to get into after school, out of school, extracurriculars, anything?
okay. For me growing up, right? Elementary, I had access to a lot of things. Culture wise, me growing up in elementary, we still had our culture. We had masquerading, we had quadrille, it had maypole, and you add that there to the sports, your volleyball, your basketball, your baseball. Nowadays, I can't even tell you when last I hear about a school dancing quadrille. I don't even know if quadrille still a thing. I don't even know if masquerading still a thing. Maypole, don't let we get started about maypole. That's our culture. That's things that we grow up seeing the older generation do, and we, as the younger generation, was supposed to keep alive. I remember when I went at Ricardo Richards, we used to have this big show every. It used to happen every year in May. I forget what it was called, but I know it would have been all the Senator Nelson probably know what I'm talking about. All the public schools, the high schools, the junior highs, the elementary
Yeah.
school, and just one big quadrille show. And it just showcasing the different styles, the different dance, and that was a feel good moment because you seen different schools, and then when it was time to come to practice now, it don't have technology, so you seeing somebody from a different school, you practicing with somebody from Clado, somebody from Paul B. It's real life interaction. Ain't have no cell phone, ain't no text. So that's where you develop social skills as a child. You could use those social skills as you grow up and you branch off. And then I'll probably say the state of things dying down happen probably when I reach after hurricane, yeah, junior high going into high school. That's when the shift start to change now. And a major shift hit our educational system my last year, my senior year, where you can't fail a child no more. A child can't stay back. A teacher can't give a child less a
A
grade
zero.
of a zero. It have to be 50%.
50. Yep.
You
That's
have to
Shane.
it have to
That
be
is crazy.
50%. And you rubbing and to be honest, you rubbing the youth of you rubbing people because I
Yes.
remember I ain't gonna tell you no lie. My high school graduation, when I see the list and I see 144 children graduating, I said no, because I know half of these men was skipping class, they ain't deserve to graduate. Because why? You boosting them up because governor coming, the commissioner coming, lieutenant governor gonna be there, senate president gonna be there, all these dignitaries gonna be there. And you don't want our class to look so little because now it got strike a question. Wait, why this class of
Teacher.
2023 so small? What's the problem? And you get people like me. Me and my five other partners. We graduate with honors. I bust my brains. I grind till I couldn't grind no more to reach my highest limit of academic success. To then see people who are skipping class every day graduate.
Right.
I feel like I want in defeat. I ain't gonna lie to you. I said, what? No, man. You telling me this man who skipped the whole school year graduating and me who going to class every day, busting, I grinding, I stressing my head. I doing all these things, like giving my blood, sweat, and tears to my education. I just feel that gonna be a serious problem for the upcoming generation because now they gonna feel entitled and things is going to that's not going to pan out well for us. And now I feel Department of Education need to revamp that whole thing about you can't give a child a zero and a child can't even stay back. No,
Right.
And
Right.
before we jump into education, because that is the very next topic. Mo, you had any thing to say about the what's available to the youth out there when it comes to just programs in general, whether it's after school, whether it's just separate and apart from the education system outside of school. Do you see that type of access for students and young people in the community today still?
I mean, I have to concur with Chris. When I was in elementary school, when I was younger, there was a lot of different opportunities. I mean, I had to tell people all the time, the problem wasn't there wasn't nothing to do. The problem was, what are we going to do? Because they have five things going on at once, and you crying because you can't go to all five at once. You got to choose. I definitely think the amount of opportunities and like after school programs and stuff have diminished. And I personally haven't been hearing about any. But I think that could just be my perspective because one, I'm not really in the circles to like hear. Like for example, if you're a part of a high school or part of an elementary school, you closer to the source of those after school programs, so you're gonna hear it faster than all of us who are further away from that circle. So that could be why.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely got to agree. I definitely think those programs diminished, and I have to agree with positive as well. I think social media, as good as the technology is, it's done a lot of bad. It's led us away from a community-based society and more into like an individualized based society. Like a lot of people, social media is their life. To be honest, like they're not even like I think it's positive that say it. Like they're not even being present in the moment. Like it's on your phone. Like they tapped into their phone. Like that is their life. Like that's all they see. And to be honest, like even me personally, I could honestly say that I was a victim of moving too fast. Um, I can remember being in college, and college was so stressful for me. But I can remember being in college, and like I would always be focused on the future and telling myself, "Oh man, when I get out of college, I gonna get this, and I gonna get that. I gonna get a house. I gonna get a car." And it put a lot of stress on myself, or putting all these adult responsibilities on myself, and it was taking me away from the present moment and being able to enjoy my youth. And guess what? Now I gotta worry about taxes. Now I gotta worry about health insurance. The other day, I just
Welcome.
find out about gross receipt tax for businesses. I like, yo, you can't run from tax, bro. IRS want you to figure out the amount you have to pay, and I want you to still pay it. They don't want to assist you in coming up with that amount, but they just want the money. Like, it's a lot. So I definitely have to I definitely concur. Is social media have so much right coming to you at once, like the awareness and the amount that we consuming is like positive say you just younger generations had less to be curious about, and it kind of slowed them down. But when you seeing this amount of cars in one day, when you seeing this amount of women, this amount of houses, when you just gain all these different perspectives coming into you at once, it's
I feel
hard
like
to
you're behind.
control the urges. You feel like you're behind. It's like, wow, this much people have this much people have that. Like, why I can't have that? I need that. Like, why am I here? And it really instills a, a lot of self doubt and lack of confidence. So yeah, it's definitely a serious problem for sure.
If I could just,
Anybody have any other thing? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
if I could just add one thing, and it's that notion of that you can't give a child, a student, less than a 50. That is cheating. That's child. Is like, I remember once they came up with this
Cheating.
thing about
Yes.
they're gonna teach Ebonics in inner city schools. That's bullshit. You can't go to a employer talking to Ebonics to get no job. Hey yo, heebie
Facts.
heebie, uba haba, and expect that I won't hire you coming to me talking that shit. So, to talk about you and put that in schools for what? To dummy down. See, we allowing them to dummy us down. And when we give child 50%, that's dummy. Because the real world outside here is competitive. If
Facts.
I have the opportunity to hire, I want the sharpest one, and the black I want the dull knife. So
Yep.
when we do that to our children and make them feel like they bought it, and then they get amongst, it's like, I'm a martial artist. I teach martial arts. If I give you a black belt, you come in first day of school, first in the first couple months, I give you a black belt because you paying me good dues or whatever the case is. And then you go out there in a tournament to fight against other black belts. You get your ass kicked. And the first thing they expect is what? That person in a real black belt. You follow me? So if you're gonna be real in this life, and if you're gonna be competitive and keep up with what's going on out here in this life, taking that handout of 50% is cheating yourself. Especially like the brother
Exactly.
said here,
Yeah.
that imagine after, and it's undervaluing hard work, because you're right. When you put
Facts.
in all the hard work, and it does it too. The same thing happening on the labor force, by the way, and that's what's discouraging and demotivating teachers.
Got the
Because
things.
when I come into school as a teacher, and I clean in my room, and I change in my room, and I doing all the extra things. When you as a student, you put in the time. Tafari was a study maniac. Huh? When he don't want to get all the points available, and then you get the same recognition as who skipping class, smoking weed, ain't coming to class, and then they walking in graduation just like you, going to all the events just like you. You're right. They make you say what value it is to put in all the extra time. Yeah, good point, guys. Good
Yeah.
It's
point.
So
really
so
a
that
trade
is
for.
if
Okay.
Gan more before
I was
you
gonna
go.
say they trade in like long-term gains for short-term satisfaction. Like we try and look good like as
Ah,
fast as possible, but ain't solving us in
Listen,
the long term. And like you said, the world
winning.
is really competitive. Like just a quick thing. Like I ain't trying to boost myself or nothing, but I graduate as Sal from my class, and I
right.
ain't gonna lie. I went to U Miami for my bachelor's. I ain't gonna lie, I walk in with the most confidence. I felt I was the man, as an island man I there in Florida, like, oh yeah, like I in the right place. I can remember walking into my first physics exam, and my God, like the disappointment, like college freshman year really set me straight. Like you see how they to take some like unruly kids and bring them to prison so they could meet like some real thugs and get
Yeah.
themselves together. Like that was freshman year for me. Like for real, like when you see like just the different amount of people from like different parts of the world and really see like true knowledge and like the gap, like it's really humbling. It's really humbling. So I got to agree, we're doing ourselves a disservice.
And I'll put my take in now. If y'all didn't know, we on the topic of education. I didn't even get to get that out before we got to it. But
That's why they coming. That's why they coming.
hey, um, like y'all said, I mean, like you said, Chris, like in your last year, what that was, 2020, 2023. Yeah, damn.
2023.
After
That's
COVID,
crazy.
really, it seemed
Yeah,
like that's
Really?
I
when
watch.
you
I
really start to
graduated
see an
10 years ago.
exponential. Hey, hey,
Um,
I graduated 10 years ago and I don't miss it. I'm happy where I'm at and I look forward to the future. All right. All right. But it does seem like for sure after COVID, especially when we switch over to that virtual learning and
oh,
everything, that started the exponential decline. The education as a whole seemed to have been going down just in general, not even just in the Virgin Islands, in the US as well, just where students are at and where they're scoring. But after COVID and virtual learning, to expect the elementary schoolers to do virtual learning, that's pretty crazy. I know it's not too much that could have been done, especially with this thing coming so fast. We don't know the uncertainty of the future and what it would look like, but it did definitely affect our youth tremendously. And then to couple that with this new rule of not keeping back a child, I think you could stay back once and then that's it. You get promoted regardless of what happens. That makes no sense. That's similar to everybody gets a trophy type mentality. How are you going to learn and appreciate the work that gets put in for earning something? You're gonna just feel like more Chris, like y'all said, you feel entitled. Like it's meant to come to you, you're meant to have it. And then on top of that, after COVID, inflation went crazy. It,
Crazy.
it went above
Yeah.
the typical average you would see on a year to year basis when it comes to inflation. So, and then the pay for people, for teachers, for everybody, really, it ain't adjusted proportionately to that level of increase when you're seeing that inflation. So now you're starting to see a lot of teachers losing passion, not feeling like they're getting paid enough. They already didn't feel like they were getting paid enough. So imagine that coupled with this 10, 8, 15% increase in inflation for different things. And then on top of that, on the youth side, where it comes in with the responsibility and accountability of the youth, the parents as well, is a lot of these kids seem, especially from the teacher's perspective, unteachable. Like they completely lack the interest of learning, and instead of educating these children, they have to first start with raising these children first
Parenting.
and parenting these kids. And when you focusing on parenting these kids, you don't even
Yeah.
have the time to start teaching because you just trying to get the class to even just pay attention, to listen. They're being rude, they're being this, they're doing all of these different things instead of actually focusing on the topic at hand. So it feel like we gain strike from so much different things, and technology also plays a big role in that, because that's one of the reasons why children are as unruly, as unfocused as they are. So it's a whole lot of different things hitting us, and I don't even know where to start. But I feel like everything, it starts at home, and yeah, we
This
are in a
is
bad place.
this is my
Education.
thing, right? And I resonate with what you say a lot. I don't like to criticize without acknowledging the existing things that could lead to why the things are how it is. You know what I'm saying? Because and we've talked about it just with the part that we did with Redman. A lot of times when we sit down, at least at the Virgin Islands, and you could extend it to the States, when we complain about certain things and it's time
Mhm.
to take action, we forget to realize that we are a small territory. So when we're talking about taking action, we, the same ones who's complaining, have to be the ones to aid in the taking of action. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate when we sit down here and we blame government all the time. Don't get me wrong. I've loved to be the government and whoever to be accountable. At the same time, we are the new adults. You know what I'm saying? I got children who 8, going on 9, and these kind of things is like we have to be the ones to instill these things. On top of that, we as the people who recognize these things have to sit on here and parent our child in the same way. So, like you share
Right.
about the fact that our children them ain't going to school parented, and I get it. We're going through a lot. We have the inflation that's through the roof. I going through shit, Tafari going through shit, Brian going through shit, everybody in the pod going through shit, you know what I'm saying? But we cannot use that as a crutch and an excuse not to make sure that the people then that we bring into this wall and the things that we care about is not being upheld. But what happened is because things get so bad and this is where I will blame the system, or not necessarily the system, but the people who decided to take on the responsibility of trying to keep on and create a system, the legislatures, and this is within the Virgin Islands and America in general, our leaders who decided to, you know what, they're going to help the future. We are behind. You know what I'm saying? Okay, social media being destructive or conducive, this is not a new thing. So why are we so behind on social media? We're talking about a new era where we having anxiety, depression, and all these mental illnesses at a roaring high. Did we organize the educational system to be able to combat the introduction of the new social media era, to make sure that we are enforcing the critical thinking skills, the mental health skills? Are we training our what you call them, the counselors and so forth, appropriately so that they could be able to combat these new things that's coming about? Because it's not like in my opinion, I feel like we operating under the same old system. You know what I'm saying? For everything we do, I feel like it's the old system we operating under. We're not innovating fast enough, and nobody wants to take the responsibility of innovating fast enough, because the first thing you're gonna say is, you know what, you ain't paying me to do this. And that's why I always criticizing, like, yeah, we did talk about all these visionaries and things of the past that we like to compare ourselves to, but we're not willing to give the sacrifice that these visionaries of the past were willing to give. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about teachers. Okay, you're underpaid and you so forth. Okay, I get it, and I feel for you, and I wish and I hope and I have plans in place to be able to try to help you. But at the same time, we have to be unselfish. We have to be unselfish.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the parents. We have to be unselfish. All our generation, because this is our generation now, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? The older heads, okay, cool. I could sit on here and criticize them, but they about to be gone. No offense to nobody that older, you know what I'm saying? That they, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to be gone. I can't sit on here and be a Facebook warrior and don't put in the work. Everybody that get on Facebook and talk about, hey, yo, we ain't teaching nobody no taxes, no none of this. Why are we have to put in the work? And the same thing with West Girl post up a post. I would say today, but when this part come out, it wouldn't be today. But West Girl put up a post talking about what efforts can the community do to be able to help. And I think that's what's lost in the Virgin Islands. In America, is different. I could talk about America. America is 50 different states, a whole fucking bunch of people. In the Virgin Islands, we don't have that much people to say that the community don't have more of a voice than we do right now. And I think that's part of the problem.
See,
Well,
you know,
I agree. No, go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead. I feel like you're waiting to say something. Go
I
ahead.
just squeeze in here that a lot of people want change, but they want somebody else to do it. You know,
Thank you.
somebody else got it. It ain't for me to do. Whether they want to blame the government, but everybody gotta participate in the say
And
it all the time.
everybody doing that.
Being that change they want to see in the world, you gotta be it. You can't just talk it. You gotta
That's
walk
it
it.
right there.
Some with you that you gotta walk the talk. Guys, sorry, I want to insert that.
Nah, I completely agree. And I think, like I say, I acknowledge the strife. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying on here, in my opinion, I don't feel the government is doing as good of a job. Don't get me wrong. In the same sense, do I even understand politics enough to make a educated, critical decision on what's going on and make a good inference? Don't get me wrong. I sit on here and watch the governor interview the other day, and I ain't gonna lie, I start to feel done. I say this ain't making no sense. But that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying? I made the comment that we need more philanthropic events to be able to boost as an economy. But we, as the new generation, have to educate ourselves and try to be impart the changes. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, we're talking about different programs not being available. And I agree. And the use them here, they themselves say the programs are available. I had a conversation the other day. Miss Lewis trying to do quiz bowl, and people want to be in quiz bowl. Miss Lewis got to come out $900 out of her pocket to do that. I feel, in my opinion, that's unacceptable,
Yeah.
and that's not conducive to teachers wanting to do anything, and that's not something that's new either. That's something that's been going on, where teachers have been the ones when they in these programs they are trying to compensate for the lack of the government assistance to do this. Why is this a thing? I can't sit on here and cry and complain because I have not been the proper resource to figure it out. Does it not make sense to me? It doesn't make sense to me. But in the same sense, when I recognize that, I have to then do the due diligence to then go look into it so that I could cause proper change. Because if I don't go look into it and I just sit on here and say, hey yo, pull up my phone, what the fuck not gonna change?
So let me in. Oh, sorry.
If nobody want to run for senator in our generation, what the fuck gonna change?
Right. Now you say on something so big right now. You touch on something, Deshaun, that I want to just emphasize. You all can't let a bunch of old fogies be making decisions for our youth generation. I gotta be
I
in the
agree.
room. I gotta be in the so to say that the biggest issue y'all having as young people right now, and a lot of the old politicians just count on this, is that y'all don't participate in the process. In other words, we in
Mm.
a room making decisions for our youth generation and nobody for our youth generation in the room. And if one or two inside there, they just getting squeezed out or squeezing in trying to fit in, so they going along with bullshit. But y'all gotta speak, and it ain't not everybody gotta be in politics, but you gotta be able to influence the decision. You gotta let them respect y'all other than just have y'all out there holding placard signs, rah rah rah, and a t-shirt for somebody.
Not
Like
even
how is
that.
right, 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 right,
Like,
right.
not even that, to be honest. Like we, like Tafari said in the last pod, when it comes time to protest, we ain't there neither. The only fucking protest we want to do is protest on social media.
Hmm?
You know that's what we want to
Yeah, I
protest.
wanted to
More
interject.
you wanted to interject?
Not trying to take away from the current conversation, right? But we spoke a little bit about government, and since positive you here, and you were part of the legislature for 14 years, I think I want to take advantage of this opportunity. Do you think a lot from the government side, right? Do you think a lot of the neglect that our community is seeing in regards to like education, opportunities, etc., like, does the government have a lack of money problem, or do we have a spending problem, or is it just an action from the people problem? Like, give us some perspective on this.
Hold on,
Okay.
positive. Hold on, positive. I just want to highlight something very important before this pod come out. I listened to the governor of the Virgin Islands sit down on an interview yesterday and say we don't have a money problem, we have a visionary problem, then come right back around and say we have a money problem because he can't get the money to do these things.
I
With that
confused.
being said,
I
positive, you have
give us
more
some clarity,
Such
understanding
please.
a
of government than me.
the power of your father is such a setup, right? But check it, but you're right. So, so if I had to pinpoint government issue, here's government issue. Sometimes it's not the lack of money, but government, especially here in the Virgin Islands, the bureaucracy sucks. Okay, in other words,
Mm.
moving that money. Okay, when money is there, when you hear that, okay, in government, sometimes when you hear that money is there, the money ain't really there. The authority to spend the money is there. Then the government is waiting to collect the money. But when the money is collected, it's some processes like, okay, I ran a department for a little while. I couldn't write no check from the department. I got to send a request to finance. Finance then got to
Mhm.
send that to OMB to make sure the money is there. Then OMB, if it's some big product, it got to go to property and procurement, and then back to OMB, and then back to finance. So each time you talk about weeks in between each time that authorization travels. So it's like and some of it is because they put safeguards in place because of the corruption that was going on in the past. But now, like,
Safeguards.
there's supposed to be
Is it a pass?
internal. It's supposed to be internal controls to so that to ensure that there's checks and balances relative to spending
Oh.
government funds. But the bureaucracy that takes place in getting to do that, okay, like when I ran the department, talk about money out your pocket. If a pipe broke at agriculture, I didn't have no petty cash fund for that. I either had to, I had to dip in my own damn pocket, which is bullshit. You check what I mean? And I had to wait weeks and months to get my money back. And that's not the way government operates. So I'll say the short answer is the bureaucracy is a problem. Sometimes you hear senators and they're guilty of this. When the government only have a specified amount of money to spend, okay, and appropriate from. But you hear senators throughout the year talking about, oh, we're going to appropriate this amount of money to such and such and to such and such initiative. It's really coming out the same pool of money that's already overexpended. So what you're causing
Facts.
them to happen, and then sometimes, especially if it's an influential vocal senator, you know what they do? I was just telling somebody about this today. Then the budget already busted. When the budget busts, they don't have to follow the law that they pass as the budget. Then the influential senator passed something. Money on, remember the purse already busted. So it's who makes the most noise. So then that strong senator, Carl's OMB or Carl's government house and say, hey, you better fund my thing, or else, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, this initiative being getting funded and something that was already on the
Before
table
something
is,
else.
is being bypassed. So we have to be disciplined. We have to be more efficient in streamlining the bureaucracy of government. And yeah, revenue generation is, so I would say, and I would agree, we generate enough money to run the government, plus develop infrastructure. But the way we spend and we overspend, and then people like, there's a notion here that when it's government, you charge more, and government accept that. They say contractors tell you, well, since I get long, you take so long to pay us, we're gonna charge you 15% more. You know what I'm saying? And so government, I witnessed this. Anytime you buy bulk, you usually spend less per unit, right? Like if you buy a
Mm.
box, a case of chocolate, it's gonna be less
Per
per
chocolate.
each chocolate than if you buy one, right? In government,
Right.
is the only place I see where you buy bulk and you spend it more per unit. That's
That's a
not,
military too.
and the idea is pay my money. But anybody who have fiduciary responsibility of government, and that's why you should really you should ban them. You should make sure that they're really responsible. Because if you just wastefully spending government money, man, they should be able to charge you with a crime. You follow me?
Facts.
Because you can't just willy nilly do that, and too much of loose spending is happening. So it ain't just
Be,
the lack of
before,
funds. It ain't just the
before
lack of
we
funds.
continue, and I make it really quickly because I'm a person. I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I want people to understand and not be ignorant. Like when we having our criticism of the government, make sure you guys educate yourself a little bit about how the process of the kind of work. Because I see a lot of people that's talking about certain things that's going on, and you really don't have no idea how it'll work. Some things really and truly just don't work how you think it's supposed to work, and nothing can be done. Whether that be because the system is so broken, because I feel like we to come in here and want people to just come in and just be our savior. Like that shit ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of things that need to be undone in order for us to get to the place we need to be. And unfortunately, for the leader that's coming in, while they doing these efforts, you gonna look at it like that money ain't doing nothing because you ain't seeing the results at the speed you want to see it, especially in this microwave culture where you want things to happen tomorrow.
And what
So
I will say on that, man, just coming from working with the port, sometimes things do be in the pipeline, and say we
facts.
get federal funds. Um, say we get
Question.
awarded some federal funds. You don't get those federal funds until like a year, 2 years out. The design from there is maybe like a year and a half out from that, and then the actual construction may then be a year out from that. So talking about from where you get those federal funds and it's actually awarded, and you got the announcement that it's awarded, we talking about 5 years to construction, and it ain't because it's any slowness under the government, and ain't like it's just
That's
delays.
the
It's just
process.
that's how it
The
works with
process.
federal funds, and the process can take long, unfortunately.
But
And I'm not. That's not an excuse to say that
But
sometimes people ain't taking long in general, but I'm just talking about
I have a
certain things.
sidebar though.
Yeah, what's up?
So that back to positive, because he did make a statement, and a statement that I see a lot. We made a statement that said we do generate enough money to run and operate on our own, but because of how long the bureaucracy of how the other operations you gotta go this way to go back this way before approval. If we do say you were in government make enough money to sustain our own, one thing that people tend to bring up a lot is if we have these funds circulating here, why in the slightest sense or anything happens in the Virgin Islands, we have to run to our owner America for help or for funds. Like just the other day, our governor went to amidst a tropical storm parade himself to beg for more funds. So if we have this kind of money here, what's the reason that we always have to
Uh,
latch back?
So remember, the monies we have is for operations. When an
Mm-hmm.
emergency happen, when a hurricane happen, that's like you having your money to pay your rent, and your car break down and you gotta fix your car, so you gotta tell the rent, you gotta tell your landlord, give me an extra week or two. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you have money to operate the government, and an emergency happens and you have lines down and you have to now do some kind of emergency, they're gonna always reach for help because that's available. Okay, but
But let me ask you this though.
uh,
Okay, to me, let's not call what just happened. Let's not focus on what just happened. The tropical storm as unnatural disaster. Let's go back to okay. Let's say something big. I can understand that, but we run and we operate as if natural disaster. We know hurricane season is coming up. So internally, you're saying we don't have a disaster fund?
there's no real rainy day fund established, even though the law has called for that. There's no real,
Yes, I know. That's why I asked.
yeah. So there's no real rainy day fund. No, there's no cushion that sits around. No, no. The government have
Okay.
two accounts really, two main accounts. One whole federal funds, one whole
Mm-hmm.
local funds.
And they
Okay.
may have appropriation for that, but already since they already bust the budget, that's kind of not
Yes.
Out
technically
the
there.
door.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you see the
Okay.
budget bill passed, when the budget bill is passed in before October 1st of every year, that's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to outline the intended expenditures for the collection
Rent.
of revenues for that year. If the revenues don't come in, if you're expecting $100 million and you have $100 million worth of expenditures and you
Mm-hmm.
don't make $100 million in projection, you don't see it and it's falling short, then the Office of Management and Budget has discretion over how those funds will spend. You see, so yes, that is an important factor. Let me say this: the budget of the Virgin Islands is about 1.1, $1.2 billion.
Million.
Of
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
we generate around 900 million. Well, it's decreased a little bit, around $900 million of local generation from taxes, fees, and etc. So we get about in assistance from the federal government and maybe 200 something $1 million. So we do generate most of our income to run the government, and the cost to really run government. The cost to really run government when I was
Employees.
paying closer attention to it was somewhere around like was 600 something $1 million, maybe $700 million to run government, pay employees, pay utilities. Everything else is for other things as far as infrastructure development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So can we be more efficient with our money? Hell yeah. So with the amount of money we
That sounds
spend,
like around 300 million. We ain't seen.
the idea is this: the problem I have with government, with my little small accounting background, is that we spending the money, but the money is not getting to the service level.
I
Meaning,
agree.
a lot of staying up top. Okay, so let's say I create a here comes Mr. Government, right? Mr. Government comes in. We're going to create an after school program for the children, right? But in the after school program, you have 10 directors, 5 assistant directors, such and such, all these titles of people
Heavy on the top,
who
shallow on the
ain't doing
bottom.
nothing, who is not at the program
Yep.
after school every day, who knows no books or whatever supplies for the program, but the money is spent
Hmm.
up here. So you have to redistribute government resources, and that's why we look. If we really gonna fix this government, we got to really look at government really and restructure government as it relates to its workforce. You want to
Absolutely.
you got to fluff the front line up. That the front line of workers is where the defense is. Like in public works, that public works used to do roads. Public works used to do small to
Right,
medium
yeah.
sized construction projects. So
Yep.
and when you have to
And
wait
they
on a
had the
private,
equipment to
right,
back it up.
and when you had the ability to deploy a workforce, a work crew, how you want to do, how you needed to. When you have to wait on private individuals at their own discretion, and when they're playing games with the government and all this kind of joke, and because you have the inability, you're cheating yourself. So government need to
But
just go ahead.
that's another question. Not to cut you off, that's one of the biggest things I always argue about is public works. What is the reason behind all the outsourcing? Because, like you said, I remember when I was young, public works had the equipment. Public works employed
Joe,
the people, and that's when things looked much
And if I
sharper.
could
They
add on
clean
to
the
that,
roads, they
right? If I
clean the
could add on to
guts,
that real
they cut the
quick.
to
grass.
piggyback.
Now I see private contractors cutting and trimming in front of public works. So it's
Before
like,
you
what's
answer
does
positive,
public works really exist outside of those people driving those fancy white cars?
Go ahead, more. Go
What
ahead,
is
more.
public works? It seems like a
wait,
front at this point.
before you
Okay,
answer,
respond.
let me let me
Let
let
me
me add
chime
to
in
that
under that
question.
respond.
Because we have, like, from my
Okay.
perspective, right, we have young people that want to do things. Like, I feel like we have a lot of positions that need to get filled, and we are not grooming our young people to fill those positions. We're not providing the training, we're not providing the mentoring, etc. So what's the reason for that, in addition to Brian's question?
Before that, I want Takan. Ain't gonna be too much. Ain't gonna be too much.
Pack
Before I
more on,
want
man.
Takan. No, I want Takan because I want to challenge one more ask. And this is
Uh-huh.
not from a place of me criticizing people. The US version, the UVI is free now.
Uh-huh.
My question would then become: are there really? Because we could say these young people are stepping up. Are there really young locals and these people stepping up? 'Cause I know about a little bit about construction and these things. Are there really locals and them bidding for these contracts to be able to keep the money within the US Virgin Islands? Because it's easy to sit on here and a pat and say, "Hey, yo, it gets so much young people here that are willing and able, and this and that and that." But is that really? And that's why I like to argue statistics. Is that really the case?
I gonna add a stack to challenge you with before positive answer.
Yeah, this a five stack question.
Right? You could say that I could agree with you and disagree with you at the same time. That's the beauty of this thing, right? You are right. A lot of young people, I guess, because again, we're feeding them not easy access.
I ain't saying they
I
are.
must come to you. No, let's just talk about the youth. We, even people in our generation, we are in that. If you ain't coming and solving it to me on a silver platter, why should I put in the effort for it? You check? Wait, me ain't gonna do this. Me ain't gonna cut no grass. Me ain't gonna build no house. And I see that you give me the job. I ain't gonna come and look for it. And on the other side, I'm gonna argue from the other side. Back to public works. If I have this nice cushy job, I am a 50-year-old guy and I'm trying to finish my 30 years. What is the pressure for me to bring in Mo and Chris to take my job when they're gonna do it faster, efficient, and then realize what
Man,
was
just answer
Brian
your own
doing?
question.
You understand?
The
There's
first
no
place.
reason to train these guys. I have to hold on to my job. You check? So it's a problem on both sides. But let positive answer my question. Right?
Wait,
All right,
one
go
Yeah,
ahead.
more.
yeah, yeah.
Wait.
Remember the question. So you're right. And two parts. Yes, because it's a small community, you have where some people in certain positions to protect their own position and their own self, they stifle young talent. They actually, I heard some visitors say this, that Virgin Islanders eat their youth, right? And I was like,
What?
like, why look at them
Mm.
all? And they said we don't, the older people don't allow the younger people to get a chance to participate. So yeah, right, that might happen. But what Webb said earlier was true too. We assuming that these people want a job. Like, I was in an employment position. Sometimes I got a little work, even here at Serenity, and I want to give people. But guess what? They come one day, they get a little piece of money, they gone.
Began.
They only work when they need money, when something is
When
coming
you
up.
need to eat.
Look, I ride, and they work like a demon, when they need that money. But once they got it in their hand, and they satisfy that desire for them, phew! I see so many of them. They work a week after the first payday, they gone. They gone. You can't. They ain't coming back to work for days. So that's a challenge. So it takes responsibility on that end, and as far as we being the older community providing opportunities at this end, because how you gonna get them out of the streets is by providing opportunities. Let's face it, young people wanna live too. You want your girl, you wanna ride, you wanna be on your own. So you wanna earn it, but there's a see that word earn. That's the issue. Many of them don't want to earn. How many young people you want to style off in the baddest of shoe, Listen, you think my children could have be sporting a kind of fancy act and failing? You think they could have been getting any perks and failing? You have children failing damn school and still got a car, still getting the baddest sneakers, I mean, bad chain. What the hell? That's the parents' fault. You know, guess what? Hear this. ADD is not a child-related problem. That's an adult neglect problem.
Facts.
You follow me? That's it. You retarding your child by not making them be responsible. So when they get out here in the real world, you expect people to treat them the same way? No. People want the sharpest kid on the block. So when you see mother coming and argue, when you see a child on a sport team rude like hell, and he don't respect the coach, and the coach bench him, and the mother and father can come up to the thing ratting the coach to put their child in the game. Your damn child ain't coming, your child ain't practicing, they're running them out, and you ain't come argue with me, the coach, that your child got to play. Kiss my ass. No money when you have no because that parent contributing to the school, that parent paying this kind of money, the principal can come and say you got put in player number 6. Why? So they know you break the morale of the players who come in practice, the morale of the
And working
players who
hard.
put in that time, just like you say. So now when we do this, that's where the things go bad. And that's the same thing happening not only with amongst our children, but even in respect for government, and it's gonna create anarchy throughout the whole of America because of this. So if we want to save our youth, we got to tell our youths this. Hey, it's a real world outside here, and you could tell me what you want to, but you have to live. And when you meet, you can mug me up as your parent, but when you go outside and you meet Mr. Real Bad Man, or you meet Mr. Real Life, or you think you're a player, but some girl break your damn heart, and now you feel like you don't want to eat no more, and all these kind of things. You follow me? Real things are
Yeah.
happen. Real life happen. Listen, I'm
And life
telling
ain't
you.
gonna hit you 50%. It's gonna hit you all the way.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
gotta let them know this
for
that
real.
hey, you could, hey, you want to drop out of school and go smoke weed? Okay, fine. Weed costs money. You know what I mean? Who gonna
Hey,
buy your weed for you?
facts.
But they
Check
still
out
getting the
Talk to
the
them.
young
weed.
ladies who wanna be grown.
They
You
still
wanna be
Spending
get
too
grown.
weed.
much.
Listen, you gotta tell them you wanna be grown. You wanna go out there. You wanna hang with big men. Well, hanging with big men too soon could mess up your cervix, and next thing you know, you can't have children. You gotta let them know
Wow.
real things. Ain't no cushion out here in this life for us. You see how hard it is. Y'all 30 something now. I making 57 next month. I don't run into a lot of shit already.
30 something.
Pushing
Hey,
30.
down
Wait,
on something
how old
crazy.
is he?
29.
How old is he again?
29.
I 28.
Listen, y'all don't be ashamed of age. Guess what? You know what the alternative
Oh,
to
Iran
aging?
is still
What's
28.
the alternative to aging? Debt. So be glad you
Dying,
age in
yes.
trend.
true,
You
For
have
true.
to
sure.
age
But
with grace, embrace your
Yeah,
wisdom, and show
gracefully,
that.
gracefully,
Yeah, this is
luxuriously.
maturity. Like, see the things y'all doing here.
That's true.
This is making a difference. This is letting your generation know to hey, let's get a voice, and not only get a voice, but let's collaborate and be the business owners. Let's collaborate and provide.
Facts.
Y'all having children now. Where's the pot game in place?
Facts.
Look, I was 20 something in North Carolina, grown ass man, and we used to go to this place on Friday evening. Sometimes we driving go karts, we playing video games, and we had children, but we wanted to exhale too. And where's those places? And there's a lot of things that could be created here that doesn't take a lot of money. Yeah, make a dot bike track. All you got to do, make mounds with hills, an
Yeah,
acre or
piece of
two of
land.
land. Come on, guys. That's what I expect
Yeah.
you all to do. Old people ain't gonna have those kind of businesses because they feel like it's too much effort. You all gotta do that. Everybody want to run go America while people running coming here. Come on.
to
Before
develop the
before I let the
place.
youth go, before you go, Chris, that's the part I agree with. Like, I don't think, and that's the part where, and people can criticize me if they want. I can't cancel real. That's the part where I do agree with the governor. While I do think we got a money problem, me ain't gonna sit on here and listen to this man tell me we ain't got a money problem. We have a money problem. You know what I'm saying? But when he said we got a visionary problem, I do agree with that too. We do have a visionary problem because, like Positive just said, there is the things that we could be able to incorporate that does make a difference that nobody wants to do. All we want to do is come and talk about it and complain about it, and then this goes into a whole broader topic of, and which we can get into in this part, but this goes into the broader topic of us like we don't realize that we have more power than we do. You know what I'm saying? Everything is, oh, I don't have the money. Listen, I could teach y'all how to get LLC and get funding for our LLC so we could get the money to do what I want to do. But you don't want to hear that because all you worrying about is the present, not to a certain extent, getting the money right now so you could go get a bad shoes, go take 20 million vacation at 24 years old as if the people that you looking up to that doing these vacations in their 30s, 50s already established their career. But that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Mo,
before we
it,
move on, I just
no,
have
no,
to
we ain't
point
moving
out
now. We ain't
that
moving now. You just gotta
no,
talk.
no,
You
no.
just gotta
Before
talk.
Nah, I
anybody
keep
else
I
say
You
keep
uncle hear
anything,
me?
Tashan. God.
I just have to put this disclaimer. I
Me even know
completely
again. Oh, my way,
disagree
frame
with
my
your
son.
statement was saying you agree with your
Uncle
governor.
hear me?
No, okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead, go
me
ahead.
know
Just
again.
for
Oh,
the
my
poor
way.
fact that when he come out, and said it's a visionary problem, it brought me back to when he was claiming to be the visionary, when he
No,
come out
in
with
the
his
in the
slogan.
in
No,
the
no, 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 no,
context,
no, no, no. I
what? No,
understand what
hold
you're saying, you know. I
no,
understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. People in the Virginians as a whole have a visionary problem. But when those words coming from your leader, it have to
correct,
hit different. You gotta
correct,
stand on a
correct,
different platform. And this was like the visionary that said we
correct.
have to change course now. Because he had a vision to take us somewhere. Now, at the end of the road, he's saying that's your problem. But where was the vision? Where was the need to change? So that's why he's saying, I understand everybody have to take accountability, but when you're at the head of the table, you have to take more that are brunt of that force. So that statement, when you say it, right, that's when you lose me. I just turn it off. And mute it. I just watch it, my mute it. You know what I'm saying? So I have to point out that I can't endorse the agreement
Can I say
because of
this?
who it came from. Coming
I,
from you, it sounds good. But
well,
we
I
as a
disagree
people,
that
we
we
as
have a
our
vision.
generation have to pick up that mantle and change our viewpoint of the version to influence that change. But the person who was at the head of the table to also influence us to change did nothing, changed nothing. So
Mr.
I couldn't
Positive.
accept it coming from him. Coming from you, I see your point. Coming from positive, I see his point.
But hold on, but
Can't
I don't agree that we have
say
a visionary problem, though. I don't agree we have a visionary
no.
problem.
I
I
don't
don't
believe
because
so.
we all are visionaries, and we just about the people. Who do we follow? Which voice do we follow? Having a vision is one thing, right? But being able to see the vision, being able to let other people see your vision is another thing. So I don't believe we have
That's
a
true.
visionary problem. Heck no, either here, because either here we don't have a visionary problem. Because you the
Good
here we
point.
don't have. See what I'm saying? All of us feel like we have vision. So how you mean we have a visionary problem? Hell
Good
no,
point. Good
we
point.
don't have a
Good point.
visionary
Good
problem.
point. Good
But who
point.
you're listening to, what you're following,
Good point.
that's where as leader, look, when we were pledging, we had a thing, we had to listen to our a rollout night, we had to listen to our DP, we had to know which voice to hear, because that was the voice that was going to lead us out of the hellhole. You understand me? When you're in leadership position, you surround yourself with people, but ain't everybody you take in. You follow me? You got to know what's a distraction and what's an opportunity. So this is not speaking to him directly, but
General, yeah.
I refuse to accept that we have a visionary problem.
Good point.
You
Good
follow
point.
me? I
Good
ain't
point.
for that. I ain't for that, guys. I ain't for that at
Good
all.
point.
We got to
I
start.
retract my statement.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
point.
yeah. I'm telling you, we got to got check what people coming here. Look, you know what happened after COVID? Look at the creativity that happened after COVID. Okay, people lost work, businesses closed down. People started to become entrepreneurs. You see a lot of roadside things, pop a little this, that. So you follow me? Hardship builds character. You follow me? Your heart is build character. That's when you find yourself, you know yourself, you mature yourself. So all of those things. You said inflation after COVID. That was to soak up some of the free money that they gave us. They gave out free money around the world and they had to get it back. You follow me? For the first time, poor people were staying home and earning income. We never had a chance to do that. We never had a chance to be at the beach and getting paid. You follow me?
Yep.
So we got a chance to feel what it was like. So some people didn't want to go back to that enslavement of the 9 to 5. You follow me? So creativity did happen. It's just that
Good
we
point.
as a government gotta make sure that we have something for let the private sector do its thing, but we can't be an impedance. We have to have an infrastructure for
Right.
that. You
That's
follow
very
me?
Gotta let
correctly
them
said.
things
It's
Yeah.
flow.
right.
That's all
So
right. That's all right.
guys, don't get me. I don't want to talk about government specifically. That's what irks me though. It irks me because we have a diamond here, y'all. People
Good
coming,
point.
Yes.
people coming. So your generation, I holding you responsible and
Accountability.
By
accountable
Yeah.
right.
to be at the front line,
By
to be
right.
at the front and
And
stand guard,
speaking,
y'all. This is your home. Like you said, we're gonna die off sooner than you if the natural process takes place, right? So you have more longer to live than us. Don't let us pick it up for y'all.
By right.
You follow me?
and
I ain't
speaking
saying to
on
be
being in the front
rude and
lines.
rambunctious, but show them that with mature, contemplated ideas, and demand your space at the table. You don't have to be in government, in politics, but as a block of people, young people doing their thing, and y'all doing y'all thing. Ain't like y'all up here scratching the bottom. Y'all just watching y'all right here alone. Y'all doing your thing. So are we extraordinary? Not necessarily. Y'all just committed. And you just gotta when you talk to your peers, you have to be the motivator and the inspirator for your peers to let them know, hey guys, pull up. Pull up. We need you to be at the table. We need y'all to stop figuring around and killing each other and get going. And when they hear that, then they step up. Once motivation is in place, we don't have to have no school. People will learn. You follow me? So don't get lost in, do we need all
True.
these school buildings now? No. The school population has changed. With people doing at-home schooling, virtual schooling. So do we need all of these big school buildings right now? No. But politicians will tell you, rebuild all the schools. That's bullshit. Why would rebuild all these schools when population has gone down from 15,000 students to 9,000 students? Hello? You follow me? Can something be repurposed? Yes. That's where vision comes in. Don't just do the same thing because it there. You follow me? That's where creativity come in.
Fuck, that's true.
So don't tell me that. There's a God. God gave us the ability to create. Anybody that's saying that has lost their way by the state of confusion and trying to do too much too fast. You follow me? You gotta be able to prioritize what is needs to be done in order for me to do this. Yeah, and you're gonna find your way. And all I could tell the young people right now is don't get lost in the shuffle. You have a life to live, and the sooner you can take accountability for your own life first. You can't lead people unless you can lead yourself. You follow me? You can't lead people unless you can lead yourself. You follow me? Once you do that, then you'll be a better participator in whatever group, whatever business. If you come in with more, it's called raising your lid. All right, y'all don't start me up and all.
And here is one of me.
Hey, me let boy Jeff him back. Boy
Hey,
Jeff him back.
I wanted to tack out on the next thing, but
Man,
fire.
hold on.
what I
We gotta
wanted
give
to
more on them
say.
man a chance, man.
Oh,
We
what I
gotta give the
wanted to
youth
say
man them a
before you
chance.
go, Mo. Before you go, so you got to add on to this with having our place at the table and being on the front lines and where we hold accountability and where we should be responsible for it. When it's time for voting,
Oh, talk about it.
when it's time for voting, we love to complain about the leaders that's in these positions. But look at the numbers for people under 25 that's voting. Look for the numbers of people that's under 30 even that's voting. You have all these older folks getting in with all these outdated policies and different things that they're trying to implement that doesn't really
Walk.
cater to the young community and then people coming up and that's supposed to be taking over. But the young people are not the ones that's even voting to try to to make this change happen. Obviously, the older folks going to try to stay where they're comfortable and what they're used to. But what about us? We have the nerve to complain when we don't have the nerve to go to the voting polls. And you don't even have to go to the voting polls anymore. They have absentee
Facts.
balances.
Yeah.
You could get those things sent in, mailed, and sent back. So it ain't like you have to show up. So what's up, Brian? What are you saying? You have more well
No,
I
more
have some.
leave more. We
more
gotta get the
more
young
go
people in it,
go ahead.
man. Leave more. Wait, hold on. Wait, more before you go. I gotta stop saying that shit in it because me like her man painting this talking. I still a young man, brother.
It's
We gotta get a
Listen,
little money to shit off,
let me
man.
ask you
respecting
this
your
question,
time,
right?
respecting your.
When you grilling, hopefully grilling is already part of your livelihood. But when you grilling, what you put on your feet? Oh, no, you need to be
Barefoot when I
arrested.
grilling.
Listen, man. Hey, me, I got a barking stack. I give me my barking stacks,
Cause I
man.
We
You
know
grill
about
grab
at the
your
you, I
bar
get
barking
my
stacks.
Haitian sandals already, and I ain't even 30. So I gonna leave it at that, right? But let me say this. I want to put a question out here, right? I feel like in life, everybody familiar with the butterfly effect, right? Usually in life, there's one catalyst,
Mm-hmm.
one event that leads to a whole bunch of different events. And I feel like we touch upon a lot of things in this conversation, right? But my question to y'all and why I want to lead the convo too is there's a lot of things going wrong in the VA right now, right? And like Positive said, we have a gem that we just need to brush the dot over. And a lot of us ain't realizing that, but trust the outsider seeing that. And a lot of people don't see the gentrification that
Facts.
coming, but trust, it already starts. I seen it in my neighborhood. Listen, when you have non-locals buying houses in WD, that says a lot, brother. That says a lot. but
Facts.
but the
Facts.
I
question
am
Facts.
that I
Facts.
bomb
want to
in
Facts.
lead
a
I
to,
bad
right,
spot.
is for example, education is bad, healthcare is bad, infrastructure is bad. We just have a lot of failing things in the territory, right? But in your opinion, what do you think is that one factor, that one catalyst that's kind of bleeding into everything else? Like me personally, after this conversation, I think it's education and opportunity. Because I feel if we were targeting our young people more in creative ways, like for example, I feel like apprenticeship should be a big thing here. We have a lot of skilled people here that don't necessarily have the accreditation. And I feel like if we were to set up the processes and the systems for that, like in my head, like the Virgin Islands is a hub for everything. Like I honestly could see us being a hub for agriculture. I could see us being a hub for healthcare. I could see us being a hub for economic development. And really, in my mind, when I say a hub, like I'm talking about people from other Caribbean islands coming to we for healthcare for the region.
number for the region,
Like
for the a
geographically, when you
regional
look
hub.
at where we are geographically in the world, like we are surrounded by so much other people, and we're an American territory. Like people should be coming to we for knowledge, coming to we for expertise, coming for we to help. So back to my question, like I said, I think education and opportunity is my like root problem in my question. So from your perspective, what do you think is like the root problem that is kind of affecting everything else that we're experiencing?
Go ahead, Brian.
We are the root problem.
We
We
meaning
don't
who?
Community.
we
I mean,
don't show up. You see how you said all those fancy words and you made sense, and I totally agree with you. We're still a problem. I'm the problem. Web is a problem. The fire problem because we can't show up to everything. A lot of these things you mentioned, agriculture, tourism, our young people ain't interested in these jobs. I rarely would hear a person my age or younger talking about how they want to tiller. There's a few. I won't say it's nothing, but the percentage is so small. Like you're saying, these technical apprenticeships. C-Tech just put out the program for all these things, welding, carpentry. You know how much people sign up? The director came on and said it wasn't even enough to actually offer two different times, the day and the night. Because nobody, we're saying we want these things, but nobody's showing up. We are the problem. Like people want these apprenticeships. They're saying this, but then you pull out the application for it, and nobody filling it out. You understand? Our generation is interested in fast-paced money and technological jobs. What's gonna pay me the highest? Sadly, I don't understand why agriculture, the things that feeds us and runs the world, realistically, it doesn't pay, which doesn't make sense. A farmer should be the richest man, not the poorest man, for what he does and how he contributes to the earth. But our generation looking to be paid because we live in an inflated world. So a lot of these things that you're asking for, like apprenticeship, internships, these things you gotta start off slow before you earn. You gotta put in that work. And like you said, we live in a world where we want it no. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna shop this apprenticeship no, but then somebody offer me a big money to do something which is less work and I
Again.
could get right now an instant gratification. They're gonna take that. So we're the problem. People here who coming in from the outside, like you said, they already have that vision. They know that the Virgin Islands ain't popping right now, but they gonna sit and wait. They gonna buy and wait, and they gonna stay quiet because they have that patience.
Not
So it's
even
something that
wait.
we have to start teaching ourselves.
Not even wait. They're gonna put in the work and just wait for the
Exactly, they're gonna put in the
gratification
work and
five,
then keep
10
their
years
mouth
down the
shut.
line.
and you
And
know
wait
what
for
they
the
can
You
do?
understand
opportunity.
me?
And you know what
Yeah,
they
Daddy.
and you know what they can do that bypasses the hardship we have. One of the hardship we have more is like the cost of utilities, the cost of electricity for one. If I'm a rich man, I come in, I buy a house, I buy my own generator, I got solar. I don't have to worry about WAPA. I bring in a container of food that lasts me 3, 4 months at a time. I don't have to worry about the high food prices. I could jump on a plane and I could go to the doctor off island. I don't have to worry about this shitty hospital and all these things here. So we allow if certain infrastructure is not fixed, then we chasing people off island. Right now, my parents are off island almost a whole year now for medical reasons. You see what I'm saying? My son just had to go again. He had to go frequently with his daughter for medical reasons. There's some people just because utilities is like paying for your electric bill is like paying a mortgage. So
Look
you
at that
you,
rent.
you can't keep your business door open. You can't even keep your house open. You know what I mean? You going and they're bragging about it. They in the States with centralized air condition and all these things and paying a quarter of the price. So when we say to our people that WAPA is too expensive to fix, it's nonsense. We
That's
must
crazy.
fix it.
Yeah, that's crazy to
Yeah,
me.
we must fix. If all we did with those federal funds was make sure that we have a brand new power plant properly situated on the south side with proper distribution so that electricity cost gets down below that 22 cents, then if all we did with the money was that, we would have saved the
You would
people
have
a
been
whole.
satisfied. I'd
You
have been
follow me?
happy.
But we trying to do a bunch of pieces with no complete nothing. We have to prioritize. It's the same thing we tell children. And for me, young people, like you say about not showing up, it is true. But to me, they're also being discouraged by some people who are in charge. You know, like I work
Yep.
with the school system, and you know what I found out while I was a teacher? That the system
Hmm.
don't really want all y'all to be successful. Because the system
Facts.
can't take all y'all being successful. So I gotta one thing
No.
I used to tell my students, hey, the system is counting on you being a flogi. The system is
Cookie
counting on you to
cutter.
follow.
Somebody gotta pick up the trash.
See, so but you gotta put it in their mind so that they fight back. Look, it's a mindset, you know. Once the young people got a mindset, y'all seen the movie The Bad News Bears or the Little Rascals or whatever, yeah, or even Rocky, where Rocky was all the training in the woods, chopping tree, and the Russian training with all the most sophisticated equipment. Huh? But it's heart, it's grit. You see what I'm saying? So once you're motivated, they say the will of mankind can forge its way to any goal. But if your will is being defeated by fear and doubt and all the stresses being put on, look, we used to go for a Sunday drive, you know. You get bored, you're stressed, you go out for a drive. You can't do that shit today. You go out for a drive, bragadam, you stop in two, three patrol, you more stress. You know your front end
Much.
break. You see what I'm saying?
Because the
So
gas to keep you inside.
right. So even the simple things, you know, thank God for the beach still, you know. But even the simple things we used to do as island folks to exhale, it's hard to do. You follow me? All the roads are like one-way road. So much brush in the middle of the road now. You know, that's don't tell me about no big fancy hotels if you can't cut down the bush in the middle of the road. You follow me? So we just have to understand that we really this thing is can be fixed. It takes discipline and it takes mind and it takes inclusion. To me, the biggest mistake that the people in leadership around the Virgin Islands and small communities make is by excluding the young people. I want you at the table. I want your creativity at the table. I want your strength at the table. You follow me? I getting tired. I'm 57. I don't think I'm old, but I already see the wear on me. I want my young son, them. I want all you come in and take a hold. We can't do this by ourselves. But ego is a problem. Id.
Facts.
It is a problem. The level of maturity is a problem. So I think it starts at home. Not I think. It starts at home first. Okay, with
Does.
parents telling
I
you,
agree.
look, my parents used to tell us, you don't care if you have one pants and one shirt. You wash it, you clean it, you iron it, and when you go, you're looking good in that one pants and that one shirt every time you go. You follow me? So we gotta
Simple
let our
fact.
children know that. We gotta let our children know that. Listen, it ain't about your dress. It's about what you're putting into it. You know what I'm saying? With your character, when you show up, you know, are people hiding the money, hiding the purse, and locking away all the valuables, or are they saying yes? Here comes an asset. Here comes help. And if you
Facts.
decide you want to be one of the good ones, then you're gonna be good in school. You're gonna be good out here in the community. But if you
Facts.
decide, man, listen, I want to get up. I want to be shiesty. Then there's nothing that can stop you from being shiesty neither. You know, except you. You gotta determine what's gonna become of you. A lot of young people get comfortable blaming their parents. Oh, when my mother do this, or my father do this. No. Okay, you're here now. What you gonna do with it?
Facts.
The last thing I'm gonna say is this. The two most time time is the most valuable and non-renewable resource available to humanity.
Yep. We
Time.
just talked about it.
Yo, I ain't talking about. I thought to be glad you can count 30. How many of your classmates you've lost already? How many, Yeah, we celebrating 40 years out of high school next year. I have a lot of dead classmates. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of sick classmates. I have a lot of classmates who've done some hard time in jail. I have so
We might have more than you and we younger.
right. You follow me?
And
And
that's the
Yeah.
so
sad truth.
so imagine the
Yeah,
trauma and your mind. You get it? Because
Right.
I know what it's done to us. So imagine what it's doing to you. It's hardening you all. You check it, and you smart. You're closing your
And
circles.
desensitizing us too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and with all
bad.
the social media stuff, where you already not really practicing good social skills from the jump street, and now these things making you numb. Right, you're numb. You're numb,
that's
and
true.
then that's a problem. So I don't think all is lost, and I don't think today's youths are all gone neither. But we just gotta let them understand that in a virtual world is a real world. You follow me? And the metaverse is out here in the universe. You follow me? And you have to
Mm,
come out of that and live this real life here, real life in front of you, and it takes you doing. You wanna live a rich life, fine.
true.
Do what it takes.
Yeah,
Many
do
people
it.
say they want to be rich, but what action do they take?
I
They
make a
go pick
post
a
about it
lottery.
just now.
Yeah.
All right. I have
And
a
then I
question.
want to. Oh, I wanted to just.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Uh,
My question was based on your question.
oh, it was to
Wait, let,
tack
let,
on
let
to
him man give
more
his
Oh, you
take.
questions.
tacking on? Okay.
Some more
I got
question real quick.
Takan
Hold
too.
your question. Don't forget.
You don't got
But
tack on.
No, I have an important thing to say.
I
You're
feel
fine.
like
Yeah. Brother.
the reason so much of our sectors are in such a bad state is because I don't know if to even call it a cultural flaw, but we tend to be very reactive. We wait for something to happen before we decide to do something. Like, I mean, look at the state of the schools, just the infrastructure, not even just the system in general. Basic maintenance could have keep the life span of them buildings for years to come. Just basic maintenance, just on a year to year basis, putting in like to 100,000, maybe a little more than that, not much, just basic maintenance. But
And
instead,
3 months in the summer to do
instead,
all over.
it just was allowed to reach to a big enough issue before something was done. And this is not just in the infrastructure of the schools. We're just talking about in general. We wait for something to happen. We wait for that tourist wheel to bust and a pothole to go pave the road. We wait for the triathlon to come, and I don't even know if that's the government that do the paving for the
Then they
triathlon.
pay.
We wait for that to happen. We wait for the president to coming down to then pave his stretch that he would be driving to go to where he's staying. We wait for these different things. So in allowing in that wait, a lot of shit starts to happen. So and we are already so far behind in that waiting to react to something that we are the far end of the list while things already still tacking
We're playing
on.
catch up now. I
So
understand
now
that.
we
Right?
playing catch up. So I feel like that's one of the big issues we have, that we reacting to things after it becomes a problem.
Some of that come back to the
100%.
lack of workforce in we with public. We come tied to reorganizing government. Look what we did.
Correct.
We underfunded public works had a sanitation department. Public works had a waste management department, and that was never
And
properly funded. What we did instead, we created a whole nother agency, which is also underfunded now, but it has a whole nother level of bureaucracy. We privatized all of the garbage pickup and everything. We privatized all of the road construction and public building maintenance unit. Public Works used to have about 1,600 employees, y'all. Public Works have under 300 now. You follow me?
Sheesh.
And then, so that limits our ability to address certain things. And then when you have to go to private contractors, and what happen at private contractors? Many of their employees don't have no insurance. Many of them don't have
Ain't
no
got nothing. You
retirement.
just,
So then they still
yep.
rely on what? Government. You follow me? So, and then with not hiring them within government, you're also eroding the government workforce. and the ability to have people paying into GERS to help to keep. So you see how we killing ourselves by wanting to hook up our friends within business. You follow me? You want to hook up our friends in business. Nothing wrong. If I got a friend in business and I could give them a contract, so I would expect that my friend will do a good job
Yeah,
so
of
that I
course.
ain't getting cussed
Yeah,
out and they ain't getting cussed out. Don't just take the money and go. And if it's my friend, I expect them to make us look good. Even if I give you a nice fluffy contract because okay, guy, I ain't gonna nickel and dime you here, but do a
that's
good
real
job.
life. Yeah,
Yeah, I expect that. So to tell me that
yeah,
you ain't be in charge and I give my friend a hookup and my friend make us look like shit, then that ain't my friend and that ain't a friend of the people. You
of
follow me?
course.
So I don't I get it, we are a small community, so yes, sometimes we're gonna have to give contract to people we know. But by God, do the work. Do the
That
work.
leads in.
So
That's
I
the big thing right there. You
it
said do the work because
Hold
some
on,
of the
accountability.
contracts we're giving it to local people.
hold
Yeah,
on,
'cause the
Brian.
money
I
gonna
give you
spend
this
here.
money.
The money gonna spend here, so I don't mind, but
Exactly.
do the
That
damn
lead.
work.
Do
That
right by your
lead.
own people
Wait,
first.
let web segment.
That lead.
Yes,
Wait,
sir.
hold on. I ain't even a good seg. I just tacking on. That leads right
Takan.
in to what I gotta say. And more, as you can realize, the solutions to this
Definitely.
problem is multifaceted. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't one solution. But what am I saying right now is my thing that I want to add on to that is accountability. The problem is, and me and Farah been joking about this for a while now since I've been home, but it's been like, man don't want to hold the people accountable. That's the foreigners, their partner, their cousin, and people in general. And when I say accountability, when we have these conversations, and I'll go to something that me and Redman talk about, I don't see a lot of conversation about, yo, we's the generation of Queen Mary and whoop-de whoop-de do. And me and Biko talk about it the other day. When I citing these historians that like to claim and use to bolster I up, Queen Mary House herself get burned down. Queen Mary went jail.
Yeah.
This goes to my next thing. Is I willing to make the sacrifice to get to the place that we want to be? Because this shit ain't no easy fucking, and even some of the things in the background conversations, I don't want to get into it because there's certain things they're trying to put in place that are gonna work for us. But my question, and one of the things that when I was talking to some of my backers and stuff, in terms of what I want to include, one of the questions that might ask me is if I ready to know what's gonna come with dealing with Virgin Islands politics, if I ready to deal with being the opposition to whoever here and man might want to do you a thing, and when are we going to hold ourselves accountable and decide, you know what, we gonna make the sacrifice for the future? Because this fucking ain't for me. Listen, if I come in here to the Virgin Islands government and I try to make a change, whether that be within the government sources or I make a non-profit, I do anything. The reality of the situation is I may not see this thing for a long time. This may be something that I have to implement for my children them when they get to of age, or maybe I 40, 50, and I may not to be enjoy the education system because I'm no longer part of the education system. And that's part of the problem. But when we tell ourselves that, it's like, why fuck the education system? Because I ain't gotta deal with it no more. So I rather complain on Instagram and Facebook. What sacrifice are you willing to make? Are you willing to hold everybody accountable and including your family members, including your friends? Are you willing to step out like the far right say and go to the polls, and that's a form of accountability? They ain't doing the job, go vote. Ain't no, I don't want to vote because nobody doing the job. Go vote. Go vote. Are you willing to, when we talk about on the last part, nobody showing up for protest? No, you don't want to protest because you got to put in your PTO. You're not willing to make the sacrifice. I don't want to hear your voice. Are you willing to make the sacrifice and hold yourself accountable to go hold these people accountable? Because otherwise, they ain't gonna do nothing. Nobody gonna do nothing. You want positions? Go fight for the position. We
Yeah, I
shouldn't
know.
have
I
to
have
fight,
a.
but this way call for.
I, oh, okay.
Fahry?
I was
Go
going to
ahead,
say,
go ahead.
so much people they complain about the government right now. They complain about the governor, all of this, but there's actual laws that exist
That,
right now with if petitions, enough petitions of the voting people come out and get signed off on, you could have that person removed.
But that's
and
lack
I've
of
been
knowledge for it. People
I,
don't necessarily know this or
and
have
Whose
okay,
fault is
access.
okay,
that?
okay, exactly. Whose fault is that? You expect the governor to say, "Hey, you can vote me on if you want." What the hell?
I understand there's
No,
no fault in them, but you just have to realize the ignorance is a big
That's
deal.
why
yeah,
we're
and the
here.
Hold
ignorance
That's
on,
is
hold on,
not
why
hold
an
on.
the Come
excuse.
True
Let me give you a
podcast is
definition.
here.
Hold on, let me stop you, Brian. You know what's the definition? The best definition I've found for ignorance?
Uh huh.
Ignorance is being intentionally unaware.
Oh, that's fire. The drop that gem on us
Intentionally
all the time.
unaware. You follow me? So that means you can't want to be in a fight and don't know the fight you're fighting. You gotta find all angles so
I
it's up.
agree.
Right.
Due diligence. You check. So a lot of folks saying, I get it. We may not know, but guess what? If I decide I'm unsatisfied and I want change, then I gotta find out what means of change are available to me and what's the mechanisms of change available to me. And if it mean looking in the BI code to find out what's the
But
process
that goes
to
back to
over,
what Webb
you
was
know?
saying.
Yeah,
People only quick to voice the problem, but they're not willing to put in the
they
work.
want to cross the river and don't want to get wet. They want change
Facts.
and don't
Exactly.
want to be the change. That's all that's going on.
Exactly.
You ever heard about the 80-20? You ever heard about
Pareto
the 80-20
principle.
formula? It
Mm-hmm.
applies to everything. It's 80% 80% non-doers, 20% doers. That
Mm-hmm.
you talk about voting, you realize that it's less than 30% of the populace elect the leaders of the territory. You
Remember,
realize
the
that?
primary might have been less numbers
Oh,
of that.
primary is peanuts. Primary is like about three, about
That's like
seven,
maybe 20
six
people. You could
percent.
count them in your hand.
Exactly.
But okay, let me ask you this question though, positive.
Mhm.
Since we're pivoting back to that, now that we gravitated back to Farah's question, showing up to the polls. I understand like you say in the web, you got a bit of change, you got to show up to these polls. But since you are a farmer senator, maybe you could answer this question. How do we expect the youth to show up to vote if the people even and us accountable as well? Because if I want change, I should be the kind of person putting myself out in the community, asking for your vote and showing it. But sometimes it does seem that the only time you hear or become aware of certain people is when it's getting close to election time. So
Are
if
we?
I'm only
But
now hearing of Deshaun Webb 2 months before you
but
expect me
check
to
it.
vote for you,
But you're
how
right.
am I supposed to
But
vote
look,
for you?
hear what you just said. You already got the answer. If I ain't here, if you ain't had even a public opinion or ever done anything,
Why are we
when you
voting for them?
don't come to me asking for no damn vote. I
But that's the
me.
thing. If
Them
those,
people can't
if,
come to
if you
me,
only have these 10 names on the
But hear me tell
poll,
you,
why
you're
who
supposed
I
to tell.
voting for if I don't know none of them?
But look, exactly.
Listen,
So those are the ones you want to pick. And if you can't find anybody, then you find who you think and y'all get behind them. Sometimes people need that push.
You go right
Exactly,
in.
I agree
You go
with that.
right in.
that's
But
why. That's why I call back on the 20%.
yeah,
We did the 80-20. That's why I call on 20%. And
yeah.
y'all know I've been saying I'm gonna say it on this part. I didn't say it on last part. I'm gonna say it on this part. If we the young, we get podcasts now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get a little different. We on the radio stations, right?
Right.
Stop voting these people if they're not touching our fucking platforms.
But
Call them
Exactly.
to touch our platforms
but guess
and
what?
give the
You
vote. If
not
they
coming
don't
and
touch
Look,
our
telling
but here
platform,
what?
we
people
don't
on
vote
the
for them.
country podcast why we should vote for
But
you.
but here's a challenge. Here's a challenge. Do more than stop voting for them. Is decide who you're gonna vote for. Even if, guess what? Y'all have the ability to
Facts.
write in. How many young people within your category they have that don't participate? If y'all decide that everybody say, ah, guess what? We ain't select this name, and all of us, you put the buzzword out on all
I
the
will just
different
write it
platforms,
in.
and you say, ah, this name, all of us, then write in this one name. Think about it. You'll be surprised that you would have elected somebody without going through all these bullshit processes, and you would have exercised power. You know what happened when
That's
you
true.
all look? I'm one of those. I broke the power broker. I'm if the politicals when they saw me coming, they laughed. Or who can vote for this nappy head dude? So when I won the first time, 'cause I wasn't no part of no established party or no nothing. I ran because I felt like the people wanted me to do more. When I win, that threw them all off, because they, in their scheme, in their political estimation, I wasn't going to come in. And the same thing, you all got the power. You all, as a matter of fact, was the young people who put me in. It's all the work I was doing as a teacher and the parents not knowing what I was doing with their children. So when the politicals were looking at me and laughing, I already was empowered by the work I was doing. Same thing. If somebody don't come in front of you until election time, this be your first time you even hearing that they had a public opinion. You should listen to them politely and then tell them thanks but no thanks. Because we need you to show up when the battle is going on, not after. Not
Exactly.
after. So you all have too many people doing song and dance in front of RU who is they clung in RU. They clung in the electorate. I used to despise being at a political forum. And we then of course, everybody can go, oh, are you running for this? I don't know nothing. And I used to say to myself, well, you obviously don't pay attention because I was totally engrossed in a lot of things. With positive works, I was doing all kind of youth activities, not for political reasons, but that was my deal with God. You check it. But when during political season, I had to go through that same shit like the folks who next to me who don't do a deadly squat. I working
Again,
hard
could
here
describe
and
the
doing all
same
kind of
way.
programs, but the person next, and somebody gonna get up and make this general blanket statement. None are you this, all are you this, and I like, come on, man. I'm working. Y'all been there. Y'all see my positive works program. We do that. I still teach in
Exactly.
martial arts. Nah, for cheap, not because it is nonsense, but because that's part of passing it on. So it's unfortunate when during political, and that's why certain people like, and even some of your generation, they don't want to get involved in politics because right away they get stained before they themselves swearing. Before I
Yeah.
raise my hand to say I swear, right? I had already became
Again,
one
wake
of
up.
them. They say, but I born with my children know.
Yeah.
I'm a working class. We a working class family. We ain't born with no damn silver spoon in my mouth. All of a sudden, oh, I one of them. We born with silver spoon in our mouth. What the hell? We
Hey,
struggling till
let man
now.
tell it Tafari Bar was to. Hey, I watch my boy Tafari Gray. Let man tell it Tafari Bar with silver spoon.
Yeah,
Tafari.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Tafari.
And for I would know his work. His real work. They would know. My children know we put in sacrifices a lot. A lot. I mean, I feel sorry and guilty about it, but I feel good that when I started having children, you talk about one significant thing that change, a catalyst for change more, change within me. When my first child was coming, I said to myself, I had to do something different for what I was doing and for what I had to have help to make the world better for my children. You check it because I couldn't save my children just by keeping them safe within the family. They had to go out into this world. And that starting to have children changed me and made me want to change the world for them. That was a catalyst. And it didn't stop yet. Because now they gang, I grandchildren and things. So from now until death do me part, I gotta do whatever good so that they have a way. They have a means to live. When I was coming home to the Virgin Islands in 1995, Virgin Islands was like, listen, why you going home far? Home is someplace to retire to. You crazy? Yeah. Why you going? You doing so good up here in North Carolina, my son? And I'm like, but who gonna make home better for us? Who gonna make it a
Facts.
place that we wanted to be? That we wanted to be? I didn't plan on no politics and none of this crap. I took a teaching job just to transition, and then they won't paying us. I started making noise not because I wanted my own pay. I had 2 months to feed. I had a wife and 2 children to feed. The check wasn't on no grand, none. It was very selfish. Well, how you mean I can't get paid? I got children to feed, and they were uncomfortable not paying us. You know what I'm saying? So I see that unless y'all stay engaged, they're gonna do what they want. And I gotta let our numbers be represented. Stop being prostituted by politicians and let them realize y'all are smart people. Two of my children were salutarian. I never had that shit in school. Me. I was just graduated. They laugh in the school. My wife messed around and found an old report card. I was so ashamed. Remember Safari? Oh, Daddy, you always making this noise about education and look at your grades in 11th grade. Right, but guess what? Daddy knew that all I could do for my children is take education seriously because education is the game changer. You check? You could stand up next to some wealthy person and be more intelligent than them. Their money don't can't make them smart. You follow me? Effort. Your own effort could rise you up to anybody's level. And that's what I wanted to teach my children. And I feel that they've grasped that. And y'all, I appreciate y'all being a circle of friends who who've got it. That's what I'm saying. When I know, oh well, I hang with Brian and Deshaun and so I ain't worried. Unless some hater trying to hate on you, I ain't worried. You check, and even that I'll tell you, I'll be wise. Because they do have haters who don't want to be progressive and want us to do, like a big party going on and they have a group that's gonna stand up in the corner all night and talk about look how you dancing, look how you dress, look how you wilding out, and they having no fun all night except talking shit about people while the whole party going on. The party done, they ain't had no fun. I don't sweat up, dance up, jam up. They ain't dance, they ain't eat, got in the corner talking about everybody else not having fun. Nah, man. Nah, that ain't what life is about. You gotta be the party to in the party.
Mm.
So that's why I would tell you, man, live now, live now, live responsible now, and be accountable for your life now and what happens to you. Your future don't start later on. Your future starts every second that's ticking.
And I just want to re-emphasize just that the idea that it starts at home. I mean, we as much as we want to point at the government and all types of stuff, which they definitely bear
Yeah,
responsibility
do.
for a lot of things in our community. Government aside, education aside, we have the knowledge to teach our kids. We have the knowledge to and the power to make a difference. Shit, when you go to college, the teachers them to just do a small portion of a lecture for any
And
specific
you,
topic. The rest is on you to study. They're not teaching you the entire
you even have to
subject.
go to class.
Nobody is expecting the teacher to give you every single thing. I mean, sure, in grade school, kindergarten to 12th grade, you're expecting a little more of the teachers than in college. But if they're falling short and the education system falling short, you still a parent. Even if you don't know the subject, you should be able to go learn that to go teach your kids. Not just send your kid back fully confused and then they're failing just because the system failing them. If it is, you should be able to make these things happen. Your child, like my father said, you shouldn't be failing and having the best things in life. If you're failing, you should be having a horrible time at home because you know you want to make shit better.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
no TV, no phone, no anything. You go read a book, you have to finish a book, write an essay, make them do shit that they know they don't want to do and they know they want to do better. They want to take more responsibility. So it starts at home. As much access as we have to things, worldly things, especially to the through the smartphone that has everything now.
Everything. Everything.
Parents still do have the power to have control over the
More
kids,
power than before,
and
in my opinion.
right now what happening is we just allowing, especially children that still living with their parents at home. They're allowing children to do a lot more than they should. A lot more freedom than they should have, which is why they're able to go do all these different things. So
Let me just say, you said freedom. So freedom without discipline can be destructive. When I was a
definitely,
teacher, I heard a student say, we used to have this thing, real talk, right? And a student yelled out in class one time, my parents don't care about me. So I evaluated the comment and I said, okay, tell us why you would say something like that in front of the whole class, that your parents don't care. Why would you make such a statement? I know the next thing they said, and I was surprised, but I learned from that. God, they don't let me do what I want. So children know that they need to be restrained. When a child does something and they get in problem, they're gonna feel like my parents should have warned me, my parents should have stopped me, my parents should have known this was bad for me. So when many of us trying to be our children's friend, we don't want to be disciplined because we don't want them mad at us. Listen, the first time you know your parents used to tell you, oh, you think I won't come school and bust your ass? In third grade or something like that, or second grade or something like that.
I used to tighten you up.
Son, I get tied up at Paul last and they didn't have a problem with me in school after that,
I get beat.
Because when I realized that, oh hell, this year they come to school and beat you for real, shit, you know, but you have today's parents don't want to embarrass the child. Is that shame? Is that prospect of that shame
That's
that'll keep you tight, you know?
what
My
you talking
father
about
gonna
this,
come to
man.
school. My father gonna come to school. I don't want that. I don't want. I don't want that. So it's like we gotta decide. And the Bible said, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." Okay. And here's the problem, you know. When you spoil them at home and then they go outside and they think they could just take things from people, they could go
It's a
go
whole
rob somebody
different
thing.
ball game.
Listen, let me tell you this. This is gonna sound very harsh. I don't I don't feel sorry when they have these teeth, these rubber man that's sticking gun to people's head. When they get a head to fly, you know, you invaded my home. I inside is screaming, no, 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 are you coming in? If you get chopped up in small pieces in a machete, don't expect me positive to be sorry for you, you know. No. Everybody work for their heart. I don't care even if you're hustling, you working for yours. Don't come feel like you got the right to come take from people. And unfortunately, some of these
That's
things we
real.
see, these deaths we see, they look bad in the news. But when you
But
follow
that's
that,
what
you
it
find
is.
out the background story, they wrong here being a menace to society. And their parents know you bringing home a kind of gold chain, diamond ring, big
You
TV,
don't walk nowhere.
yeah, and that kind of heck. And your parents know you ain't walking a goddamn place, eh? And your parents ain't saying nothing. Next thing you come with a bullet in your damn head, then what? Then what? You follow me? So parents gotta know all these things too. Don't think, yeah, you could turn your head if you want to, but life don't turn its head. Karma don't turn its
Hmm.
head. That real,
That's
that real as we standing here, sitting here talking tonight. So parents to me are the biggest flaw in their children's life when they're unwilling to be disciplined. You follow me? Because real life don't give them no break. Real life don't give them 50% to start. Real life start with zero, and real life would leave your ass at zero. You follow me? Yes. So
Facts.
so we gotta let children know that. Don't expect nobody owe you nothing. You gotta work for yours. And the
and
sooner
make
you
them
decide to
feel
work
it
for
too.
yours, the better off you're gonna be. Trust me, when you put that in children's head and they get that, you're gonna find that they're gonna make it all right. But when they feel like they're gonna be entitled to this, entitled to that, or you just give me anyway, nah.
Mo, talk to me, man. Hey, meaning like we cannot kidnap the youth, mister. Our old ass start to get time.
I listening to this, right? And I ain't gonna lie, it's encouraging, but it's discouraging at the same time, right? And let me explain why. So
Yeah, we'd rather hear that.
we talking about the fact that like let's say for example, I think we come to the conclusion that maybe the root problem is us as a people, and it starts at home, right? But if it starts at home with the individual, how do you? I guess what I'm getting at is that it's hard to create mass change. Like me and you talking one on one, I could help
Is
create change, right? But when it's the mass, it's hard to institute that. Especially we talking about change on the individual level. So like I guess what I'm trying to get to is like how do we create that change to reach the individual level? Like what do we do now? We had this conversation. What do we do now?
One mind at a time. One mind at a time, buddy. One
I
mind.
agree.
There ain't no
This
macro without the micro. See,
this is what I'm gonna say, right? And I know positive gonna allude to it. One of the biggest things I've learned, this is within entrepreneurship and just in life in general. That statement you just say right there, subconsciously is a part of the reason why we will not get there. Because subconsciously you convincing yourself that your individual voice ain't powerful enough to make a big movement.
Jim.
One of the things I read the book Atomic Habits, right? And if you apply it to just your everyday life, one thing at a time, you do it 365 days of the year, you get fucking far. But if everybody is convincing themselves that, yeah, I could say this thing to this one person, but that ain't enough, we gonna never get it. So while we talking about like, yo, how we could change, this conversation in itself is the change. Otherwise, I won't sit on here and have it on the pad. I got plenty other thing I could go do in my life. But the fact that I could touch, not I want to say we could touch 30, 40, 50, hopefully the whole, how much of our followers we got at this point, that's
And
enough.
they start
And then hopefully we spark the
exactly.
conversation within our next man who
right,
could spark our next 100. And
right.
he
It's
could
just a
start
chicken
the
link.
conversation with our next man who spark 100. And maybe I don't see it in my lifetime. But if we continue on this track, airplane wasn't a thing that existed. We were slaves. Imagine them man strife
Yeah,
and
them
what
man
they
make it
had to
out
go
of
through
that.
one at a time for black people to have a voice in this community. 400 years. And that's what we got to refrain our mindset to think like that.
And
When we
let me,
start to embody that, we're going to be straight.
yeah, and let me just chime this one in because, unfortunately, a lot of times when we think back about Black history, we go back just to slavery. Before
Hmm.
slavery, we were a great, magnificent people. We were the civilization of the world. When they came to Africa, they were amazed. They met no damn barbarians eating people. They met civilized societies, well high societies from medicines to sciences, which they took back to Greece and claim it as their own. So I think for us, part of so we could shake off the inferiority complex which we carry, is to not limit ourselves and go back just to slavery when we talk about black people, but understand that we were civilizations of the earth that they
Before so.
copied, and then they enslaved slavery happened, and it wasn't for all blacks, but it did happen for a good majority of blacks that came over across the Atlantic. But let's not limit that to like that was
Yeah,
the
that wasn't the
sum total
beginning of
of who
our
we are.
history.
No, not at all. And despite all of that,
Sure.
right. And the amazing thing is, despite all of that, and this is what surprises the oppressors, that despite all of that, despite all this separation and breaking up of families and subjected to this harsh chattel slavery, still we rise. Out
We
of the
here.
dust like the phoenix bird, we rise. So that in itself, think about if you give a man your hardest punch, right? If you knock your man your hardest blow, and the hecker shake off and stand up and do this, right? You know what you doing next? Oh shit!
God.
Yo, you hot head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you see us here now, still as a people, still
We here.
being strong, still surviving in this oppressed world that we know of this Western world. You see what I'm saying? That fear, that strikes fear in the heart of those who want to be oppressors. So we gotta understand the fear that we are striking, folks. Why they're gonna continue to come against us, but at the same time, we gotta maximize our opportunity. Look, the civil liberties allowed to us under the American flag. We have such an opportunity in the Virgin Islands, and I want if we don't catch it as this older generation, my God, I hope you all catch it, Dread, before it's
We
too
have to.
late. Before it's too late.
And that's why I agree with you, Mo. In that sense, education is the power. 'Cause like I say, we to convince ourselves a lot of things. When you start to understand the systems that you think is, I won't say you think that is oppressing you to a certain extent. When you start to understand it, then you could be able to empower yourself and fight against it. If you don't know what you're fighting against, you can just sit on there with your eyes closed trying to throw backs.
Boy, yes, yes,
You,
yes.
you, you, you ever try to fight a man, you close your eye and throw backs? How you expect to learn?
Oh, an invisible man? Right, right,
You
right,
check.
right.
You gotta be able to educate yourself and understand, and that's why I say, like, when people hear me talk, the man think like, "Why now, man? Web get this quit." At the time, I mean stuff with the I did in college right now. This is the first time I did in college really, but I have the determination and the passion to be able to help and be impactful more than myself. So once you go out there and start to educate and try to understand the things that's needed to be done to make a change, then is when you can have real impact. And each one teach one, and it gonna have a mass effect over a long period of time. And like I said, sometimes it's not in your generation. I mean, like to you, it might not be 5 years, it might be 10 years, or it might be two, depending on how quick and how influential you is. You know what I'm saying? But you can't let that fire die down, and that's the problem with a lot of us. We let that fire die down, rightfully so, because I understand there's a lot of things going on in life. You know what I'm saying? The inflation is fucking high. Relationships ain't the same like it used to be. Everybody cheating, everybody doing this. They got all kind of stressors that we could sit on here and point to the excuse as to why the things ain't ways we want to be. But as soon as you realize that you're willing to pay the cost to get to where you want to be to really live a healthier life, all I'm thinking no excuse. And that's the point where we is in our life. That's part of the reason we even start this podcast to spark these kind of conversations to be able to have the influence to change our scenarios around us because
For
we get
real.
cheering them.
Right, right.
And with that, because we getting pretty deep in that. Y'all want to continue? I feel like we at a good place for another day conversation.
I
So
already see, the invite to bring positive background for, an in-depth conversation.
yeah, for
We
sure,
in touch,
for
he's a
sure.
multifaceted guy, a
Yeah,
parent,
we need
a
to delve
former
further.
educator, former politician, former commissioner, black belt, master, So we're gonna have to have this man back on the pad for, more in-depth conversation. All them in the
Facts.
state of the youth.
I get what. Look, I must tell y'all, I'm really, when I hear y'all doing this, oh, to far right, them doing podcasts, I was like, yeah, I was feeling jealous. I was like, what? The money in itself gave me a little blight, you know what I mean? I guess them guys think I don't get too charged up or something, you know what I mean? They're like, so, when he asked me like, the other day, I like, to be on the podcast, I want to put on a big smile and scream like, yeah! But I try, I hold it together like, oh, yeah, like, oh, you sure wet,
Yeah.
Well, I'm real happy to be
Can't
on
shoot
because,
cards, I know what I mean.
yeah, 'cause to be honest, let me tell you, right? In about 19, my first son was born in 1990, and around 1992, I made a deal with God. I asked God I wanted to change my life, and I said I wanted to like have an influence on young people. I want to be able to help young people go through them years when they're making bad choices, bad decisions, and that's when I became positive. That's when I became my Rasta name was positive. They must say you go positive in a Rasta name. I say, well, but I could radiate positivity, and to be honest, I've seen it work. I've seen to me God allow me to work for him. So when I'm able to do this and impart knowledge to young people, I feel like I'm in my sense of purpose. I feel like this is exactly what I wanted to do, to inspire y'all to just take this baton and run, just like we watch the Olympics. I had to cry when I watch the Olympics, because when somebody passed the baton
And
to the
again,
next one, and they're like, go run! And you see them like running like I mean, I mean, look, people have they try to say like the American girl. I think no, wasn't American. The shot white girl that fell down. When she
oh,
was trying.
okay, I know you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
no, that girl was really running, but the tall girl had her in stride, but she was running just so fast to try to that she outrun her own legs. I mean, nobody had
Far,
show her
Yeah,
down.
far along.
She was
snowball.
just trying to move them. But when people can put forth that effort, you see that beast mode that people are getting when they going on that track. When you see Sharika coming from the end, that she turn on that jet, you see determination. I love seeing that because that's full effort. That's when people are not they ain't thinking nothing else but win. If we can set our
Right.
mindset like that in things that we want to accomplish, we'll be all right. I got a little joke at Tafari. He might not like this one, but one summer camp, remember that summer camp up by Cyan Farm, and he was in a race, and get down with a chunky boy. Remember we run this way and look, now he can run so fast. Ali, I said, look at my son run to try to look everything at his whole face was shaking. I'm laughing and get that. But I like when people put forth that full effort. Too many times we are reserved. Too many times we holding back. Too many times we wonder what other people think, and that stops a lot of young people from doing things because if we ain't fitting into the crowd, we ain't feel good. If you decide to be smart, like back in our days, if you were being a smart guy, they made it feel like being a nerd. They
Yeah,
call you nerd.
Lord,
They
and
call
that
that
kind
kind
of
of shit.
thing.
Like
Yeah,
the girls didn't even like smart guys because they want a tug. You know what I mean? So we were, and it happening to these young people. The guys don't want to be
Hmm.
smart. They want to act like a tug, even though they're not a tug. They want to act like a tug because that's what. First of all, I never going to that nonsense. So I had three boys. Hey, y'all, cut that shit out. You could be cool, but you don't gotta be no tug. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And but the girls that make you feel like you gotta be tug in order to get them. Everybody want some little play. You know what I'm saying? So back in our days, I remember one rebel, a real big rebel man. Everybody walked down when he got a girlfriend because she told him, I like you, but I'm not gonna deal with you with that gangster stuff. And he cool out just to be with her. You check? But these days, these girls are encouraging these guys to be gangsters, encouraging them to rob so they could give them
talk
nice things.
about
And then when they end
it.
up dead, they don't go to the next one that encourage to do bullshit until they get killed too. So don't be that kind of fool. You check it? I mean, to be honest, I hearing a lot things between young people these days. It's like, gosh, what are they loyal to? You know?
Sure.
Yeah, they setting out like, are you? Y'all are progressive young men. They setting out up sometime for the kill just because what? So anyway,
I want Mo to answer that one. What are you guys loyal to, Mo? Drop your hands.
Listen. If I don't know, I don't know. Okay, the ladies in my generation don't even know what a bubble are packed. Okay, this is
oh
dismal
God,
times. Okay,
oh God.
this is dismal times.
You're firing shots. They're not there to defend themselves, so I ain't going into that with you.
Hey.
Hey,
But
you
it's true,
ask the
though.
question, you get an
It's true.
answer.
It's true. It's true. It makes it hard. So then they can't get mad when y'all get scooped up by some of these cougars looking for young men.
Because they know how to bubble apart. That's for sure.
Not this time.
I must say,
Hey,
in y'all age time, we
Hey,
used to like wish and fantasize
hey.
about that kind of thing, but that ain't playing out in y'all time because people done been through so much hurt now, they're willing to scoop up a young, diligent young man to say, hey, to hell with these old heads, let me get somebody that's teachable and trainable.
Hey. So if
Facts.
anyone is
I why is
your
it
name is
IGS?
promoter,
Hey, with
And
that,
before we go, wait, before we go, I mean, we the gratitude. We gotta bring it back,
that's
man.
how
You
I
know, we
go.
can't.
That's my
Oh,
segment.
sorry.
That's my segment. Gratitude is a must, man. Gratitude is a must. So every
Hey,
pod more and positive since it is a new one. So every pod, every week we like to give gratitude because we like to end on a good note. We like to end on a positive word song. So we like to give gratitude for anything that happened in the last week, last year, whatever the case. And be for us it's a week because we're doing this every week. For you guys, it could be anything that happened of recent. We like to give gratitude for something, for somebody, for whatever the case may be. So more as a youngin, lead us off and what you giving gratitude for this week, man.
Yeah, man. I honestly just grateful and thankful for peace of mind. You know, I don't have a lot of problems per se, like extreme personal problems going on in my life. Like, I'm not an anxious person. Like, things are okay. Like, things are generally good. It could be better, but like, I'm okay with where I'm at, especially with the average state that the young person is in. Like, I'm okay. I'm really okay. So I'm grateful for that. And also in Houston right now visiting my mom, so I'm grateful for that as well. Because I don't get to like, I'm not with her like every second or every day, you know. So I'm grateful that she's still alive and still in my life, and we get to spend moments together. So yeah,
Real, real. I go next. I go next. For one, I grateful for my in-laws. Positive. I know red man. I know you ain't that much older than me, but I still look at you as an elder. The last couple pods, I've gained a little bit of a different perspective on certain things in life, and I'm always enlightened and happy to be able to do that because in my life is all about me being able to learn as much as I can to be able to impart on somebody else what I learn and be able to be a positive influence in this community. The same thing my father been doing before he passed away, you know what I'm saying? And then same I grateful for Leah, man, the mother of my children them, for being able to facilitate a healthy relationship with me and my children them, even though I ain't in immediate space. I'm very grateful to have that experience and be able to still have the cohesion and things we need for I can have a relationship with my children them, man. So those are the things I'm grateful for.
yeah,
I guess I go next. Um, I'd say grateful for one, just to God, really. You know, this week, well, a little rough. I mean, that had an incident. It was scary. Kind of was exhibiting signs of a potential stroke. We up here in Florida for a cardiologist appointment and had to actually end up going to urgent care. They thought it was signs of a stroke, so we had to go to the ER. We had to stay overnight for additional tests and things like that. Everything turned out to be good. And we did not sure what that episode was about, why she would lose her balance in the way that she did, but it wasn't anything life threatening, nothing heart related or brain related. So just want to give thanks to God for that. And then Maya did call me earlier today, super happy. I'm like, what happened? We win the lottery, and she just said, from the cardiologist appointment because we missed it since we was in the ER. And then when we went to that appointment, the cardiologist wasn't even there. She was sick, but we had still asked if we could come to do all the imaging and stuff, and at least have her send the information off to review virtually. She had come back just saying that everything looks good. We could actually take her off the medication that she's on just to be on aspirin alone, and yeah, that it looks great. After the next visit, it's gonna just be a once a year type visit for her because it's looking good. Because my daughter, her heart, she did have an issue with one side was a little larger than the others, but it's looking good. And I just thankful to God for that, and I also thankful to my mom, for being up here with me. Couldn't imagine going through that whole experience alone, going to the ER and stuff like that by myself. I don't know how I would have done. I mean, I would obviously have to keep my strength and everything, but having somebody else there definitely made that whole experience much more easier to deal with. So that's what I'm thankful for.
My thought.
Yeah,
Right?
you could go.
Well, I'm grateful for God's grace. You know, I mean, things ain't the best for me. There's a lot going on in my life that I would prefer to be different. But with God's grace, you're able to just deal with all of these things, just seeming to grow through life and just stay focused and just trying to get things done. Like the fire mentioned, my granddaughter have a situation. My own relationship have its own challenges. I'm trying to do a lot of development here at Serenity's and residents and all kind of stuff. And it's a strain on the pocket when you ain't got this big cushion of money. And it's not many people you can go to because people expect that you have it. The banks they ain't giving a loan. My parents going through some health issues as well. So it's a time in life that they seem like things should be falling apart, but they're not fully. So I appreciate God's grace, that I still have a sound mind and I'm able to sort of sort my way and think my way through the things that's going on. And I just appreciate the opportunities that's presented in front of me, and I just continue to pray that my children just continue to find the way to God and to just better living and doing what they're doing. And I appreciate you young men doing this podcast. Don't think of it as it may seem like a small thing, but you really don't know the impact you're having on people. And if it's only one of your peers, if that you're able to shift their mindset, you would have done a lot. And I'm quite certain you've already done more than that, just because the talk is already out there. So I want to encourage you all to keep on and to don't underestimate the value and the impact you're having. So I thank God for opportunities. I thank God for this life. I never imagined being 56 and going on 57, and what life would have been if I hadn't made better choices. So I encourage you all to just making good choices a habit, and yeah, I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for God preserving my life to be a grandparent up until this time, and from now till death do me part, I plan to do whatever good I can for myself, for my family, for the world. Yes, respect.
So
That's what's up. That's what's up. Um, Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. I guess I have gratitude for two main things this week specifically. One, peace of mind. I'm honest and Croy, sleeping in my own bed. Very grateful. The fellas know what I mean by that. Work is just something crazy. So I'm really thankful to just be here, you know, in my own space. Um, I always, thankful for, the Come True crew and the podcast. Recently we started to get a lot more engagement from the community and to hear good words from, somebody who I respect and know for a couple of years now, part to hear how you talk about the pod. It really resonates with me, it touches me. I've been getting a lot of feedback from the community, whether online or in person. So I'm glad that we're reaching people and we changing thoughts and people are able to engage and change some of our opinions based on I guess we had to have these kind of conversations. So that's something I'm really grateful for this week.
All right. And with that, like Pops to say, peace over the heart.
Amen.
Much love. Thank y'all for coming through. Hope to see y'all again.
Amen.
That's right.
For sure.